Today we're going to continue studying the laws of Goses, and we're going to take a look at Rav Moshe Feinstein's tshuva. This is in Choshen Mishpat Chelik Bet. This is Siman Ayin Gimel, Shivim V'Shalosh, Ayin Gimel, and I'm looking at Sif Gimel, so it's Ayin Gimel Gimel, and he says, V'le'inyan simanei gesisa shamati sha'harofim ein mechirin behen. The Rofim don't really know what the signs of Goses are. V'ulai hu mechmat shemitzad inyan refuah lecha chiluk she'ein umot ha'olam chosheshim laha sheyavo mitzad hanagi'ah v'hatipul bo ibud nefesh. Maybe there really is, according to medicine, no real distinction between Goses and any other sick person, and they don't think that they don't worry that by touching a person you might, in the process of taking care of him, you might actually cause him to die. They're not careful about this. Ve'ein sovrim sheyesh iser, and they don't think there's any prohibition. Va'oleh b'zeh mishnei tamim. There's two reasons for this. Chada, de'ein yodin she'asur liga b'goses hanogea bo harei zeh k'shofek damim. First of all, they don't know that you shouldn't touch a Goses, and that touching him might kill him, and then you would be a murderer. They don't know that. Keditanya Mesechet Smachot, as it's taught in Mesechet Smachot, v'nifsach b'Rambam Perek Dalet me'evel halacha hey, v'huva b'Shulchan Aruch b'Shach Yoreh Siman Shin Lamed Tet Sif Katan Hey. Because they don't know all these sources. They don't know. The regular Gentiles don't read the Shulchan Aruch and the Rambam. And the second reason, da'af im yodin, maybe they do know. They do know somehow that if you touch him, he might die. But da'af im yodim zeh lo ichpat lahu. Maybe they do know, but they just don't care. B'ritzicha kazo, with this type of murder. Da'al yedei negi'a legoses, ve'ulai lecha isur lezeh lebeninoch. Maybe they're not worried about this type of small, touching that's also murder. And they know it could kill him, but they think that that's not really murder. It's just, I'm just doing my job, and if he dies, he dies. But they don't think of it as actually them contributing to his untimely death. So for one of these two reasons, either they don't know that it could kill him, or they know but they don't care. People are not careful about this, and therefore the Rofim don't know, the doctors don't know what the signs of Goses are. So Rav Moshe is actually defending that there is such a thing as Goses, even though the doctors don't know what it is and how it exists. He's grappling with the fact that the halacha defines something called Goses, and yet you ask a doctor and he'll tell you never no such thing. He says, well, it's just because they don't care about it, they don't know about it, but it does exist. And then at the end of Sif Gimel, he says an important point. He says, the Yoreh Shemayim doctor should be careful. And then he says, Midumani, and as I imagine, Shirofim harotzim leda, if they do want to know, kishenimtzaim bebetei cholim, shematzui sham gam elu shemetim sham. There are many people who die in Beit Cholim. So therefore, Yecholim lahakir zeh, they could get to know what Goses is. Kisheyishtadlu lihiyot etzel hacholeh. They could try to be with the choleh when he's about to die and stay there. And after some time, they may learn what the laws of Goses is. So what Rav Moshe is doing in this part of the tshuva here is saying that there is such a thing as Goses. It is a prohibition. It is really a type of way of killing somebody. And the fact that Rofim don't recognize this is their lack of knowledge. Nothing doesn't mean that the halacha is faulty. But let's look also at Dalet, the very end, the last paragraph of Dalet, in the same Shuva, in the Sif Dalet now. And he says there, V'din hagoses, shehu adam she'ein bo chisron evarav, v'ra'ui mitzad zeh lichiyot below kitzpah. He's got all of his blims, he could live forever. Ella mitzad shenigzer mitzad Adam ba'achilat ve'etz hadat. But just because of Adam Harishon, who ate from the tree of knowledge, and therefore there's death. So death comes to all people, and this person is getting close to his death. But he is living part of the days that were decreed for him when he was born. He was born, and he was decreed that he would live to be 86 years old, and this is part of that time. And therefore, he says, and therefore anybody who does try to shorten that period is taking away his life, just as if he was taking it away from when he was in his prime. If you would kill such a person, you're chayav in death penalty, according to from the Sanhedrin. If there would be a Sanhedrin, of course, now there isn't a Sanhedrin. We don't do these things, and of course, you would have to have witnesses that saw you do it, and we'd also have to have somebody warning you not to touch this person. And if without any of those things, of course, we wouldn't inflict this law. And anyway, in this time, we don't have a Sanhedrin. וגם בזה הזמן לך חילוק באיסור רציחה שלכן כיוון שהוא חלש מאוד אז ואפשר שגם הנגיעה בו תכבד עליו. He's so weak now that just touching him could be difficult for him. He might die from it. וימות מזה. צריכים לזהר מלגע. So therefore we can't touch him. And we see that the idea of Goses really is that at this moment we can't even touch him in any way. And of course, kishe'ein lahem shum refuah avuro. He says, well, this is if there's no refuah for him. Maybe if there was, this is an interesting question, if there was a refuah for him, could you then touch him to give him the refuah? Perhaps yes. And then he talks about treifa. And he is a person who is, was wounded in some kind of accident, or maybe he was gunshot wounds. And this person, he makes a distinction at the end here of Dalet, that, of course, you could touch such a person. He's not a Goses, even though he might be a minute from dying. In other words, somebody who was shot up and has like 10 gunshot wounds and is on the surgery table, and you're fighting for his life, and any moment, his heart might stop, he might die. You shouldn't say to yourself, oh, I better not touch him. He's Goses, he's about to die. No, you have permission to keep on working on him until he dies, or hopefully he won't die. The laws of Goses don't apply in such a case, because this is a treifa. This is a person who's got a wound that will kill him, and in such a case you can try to save him. Of course, if there was no thing you can do, then maybe he'll become a Goses eventually. But on the one hand, we have to be very careful with the Goses. We shouldn't try to shorten his life. If a person is about to die, is on his death, is just his last moments of life. We shouldn't make it one less moment. On the other hand, we shouldn't be afraid to work with somebody who is suffering a wound to try to save his life. Of course, then we can do everything and touch him and cut him and do surgery on him. He also is explaining at the end here that the treifa, the halachot of if it's forbidden to kill somebody who's a treifa, who's about to die because of wounds, it's forbidden to kill him also. And there, the halacha, though, does not consider it actually murder. It's a lower level of, maybe it's manslaughter. But whereas a Goses would actually be murder. And he tries to make that distinction that Goses is really, he's just weak, but he's really part of his life that was allotted to him. Whereas this person is not, he's about to die. This person who's been wounded, his life is not going to go on anyway very very quickly. Whereas the Goses could wake up. He's just weak. He could theoretically come back. He tries to make this point about the Adam Arisha, that the only reason the Goses is dying is because it's his allotted time is ending, and therefore every moment is equal to every other moment, and therefore it's considered proper murder. But this person who's dying because of some serious wounds, if you would preemptively cause him to die, which you shouldn't, it's not the same level. But really, what his point is that you can treat him in a more aggressive way. He says like this. He says, you should not touch him when there's no refuah for him. Ubetreifa calls man shehu chai lekedin zeh. But a treifa, as long as he's still alive, we don't have this thing. You can't touch him. Derashayin ligabo, you could touch him. V'gam liten lo davar kaved, you could put a heavy load on him. Mikol makom hazman shehu chai hu kol adam. As long as he's alive, he's like a regular person. Va'af kishe nachala hu kol adam. Ukishehu chole yicholim ligabo. If he does get sick, you can touch him, you can shake his hand, you can administer intravenous food or something. And the doctor should try to heal him. They shouldn't say, well, he's going to die anyway. You should try to lengthen his days as much as possible. So that's Rav Moshe. So he sees this distinction that a Goses and a treif are two different things. But the general rule is if you're in the process of saving his life and you have a real chance of saving his life, so then you can touch him. But if he's a Goses and there's no chance of saving his life, then you should leave him alone. We also see in the Shulchan Aruch another halacha that talks about being at the side of the person when he dies. Now, let's look at the tour and the Beis Yosef on the tour with Beis Yosef Dalet. In the edition that I have, it's divided up into sections, and I'm in Shin Lamed Tet, in Yoreh Deah, and I'm in Beis Yosef Dalet, and he says, Katava Kolbo, the Kolbo writes, V'zel Lishono, Katava Rav, Kevan Shenata Adam Lamut, if a person's about to die, Ein Risha'im Lipared Mimenu, you're not allowed to leave the room, Kedei Shelo Tetzei Nafsho, V'hu Yechidi, so that his soul shouldn't leave his body and he's alone. In other words, his soul should leave his body only with other people around. V'yamut ba'agmat nefesh, he'll die in a miserable way if no one's there. Why? Mipnei shahanefesh mishtomemet, the nefesh is confused, b'shah shehi yotzei, at the time it comes out, min haguf, when it leaves the body. The soul is confused when it comes out of the body. And if he's all alone, he doesn't know what to do. V'od shema. Okay, so that's the part of the explanation. It's not a full enough explanation. The Darkei Moshe discusses it also, and he relates it to a Gemara in Hagiga, which basically talks about an old man visiting his rabbi and saying that he wants to visit him when he's alive, because if you're supposed to be with a man when he dies, all the more so you should be with him when he's alive. So by derech agav, parenthetically, we learn that you should be with a chacham or anyone when he dies, and that's learned from the Gemara in Chagiga Daf Hey Amud Bet, and the Darkei Moshe brings it. But I want to look at the Aruch HaShulchan. He gives a very nice explanation for being there at the time of the death. And I'm again in Yoreh Deah Shin Lamed Tet, and this is Shin Lamed Tet Chet Shmona, number 8 in the Aruch HaShulchan. And I'm just skipping the first. He talks about saying Bruch Dayin Emet when the person dies, and doing Kriya. And he says, V'kevan shenata Adam lamut, and if a person's about to die, Ein Risha'im leilech mimenu, you're not allowed to leave him alone. You're not allowed to go out of the room. Kedei shelo tetzei nafsho v'hu yechidi, that you shouldn't leave, his soul shouldn't leave the body, and there's no one there in the room. Deah nefesh mishtomemet b'tzeit min haguf, the soul is confused when it leaves the body. Ve'eno ro'eh anashim kasherim, and if it doesn't see fit, proper people, good people, umat tov im yu asara miYisrael. In other words, if he does see good people, then he won't be so confused. And even better, if he sees 10 Jewish people in the room, be'et yitziat nefesh, da'aj pogat b'shchina, because we know that the Shechina, the divine presence, rests whenever there's 10 Jews gathered together. So the divine Shechina, the divine presence, is there in the room when the soul comes out, and the soul meets the divine Shechina, and he's invigorated. And this is all from this pasuk that's brought in Hagiga. Ve'yechi od lenetzach lo yirei hashachat. You will never die. Ki yirei chachamim yamutu. When you see the death of chachamim, in other words, being present when the chachamim dies is segula, is a benefit for long life. It will help you have long life. V'kol shekein im haniftar hu gadol b'Torah, and if the person is a rabbi, for sure you should be in the room. Umevarchim imenu kodem petirato, and then we should also try to get him to give us a bracha before he dies. V'zehu inyan gadol, this is a great matter. Ad ma'od v'ha'omer v'ha'omed b'shas yitziat hanishama, and it's best to stand when the soul comes out. Ve'ein acher imo as Ve'ein acher imo asur lo la'azvo afilu yachar zman atfila. Even if there's nobody else there, you cannot leave, even if you're going to miss your evening prayers, your time for prayers. You have to stay there. And in fact, you see that sometimes a Jewish chaplain will, when he hears that a person dies, he'll go to the room and stay there until the Chevra Kadisha, the burial society, comes to get the body. Now, the person should never be left alone, and that's a legitimate halacha. So that is Aruch HaShulchan's explaining the idea of being there to accompany the soul. We discussed that it's you feel something in the room, maybe if someone dies, and it's sort of a beautiful idea that the soul is leaving, and you're going to be there with him. Now, when the soul does leave and you're there with him, we have a halacha that you pour out water. And this is a very interesting halacha. It's a strange halacha. It sounds a little bit spooky or mystical. Let's look at the Beis Yosef again in the tour, Hey. And there he explains it. Or he brings the source. He says, Od Katava Kolbo. Previously we were in Dalet, and we also saw the Kolbo. Now he's reading again from the Kolbo. Minhag lishpoch kol hamayim she'uvim shebishchunat hamet. We pour out all the drawn water in the neighborhood of the passed away person. The neighborhood we understand to mean the two houses, one on the right and the one on the left, and the house where the body himself was. So that's 3 houses. You pour off any water that's like, you have a cup of water, you have a bottle of water, a pitcher of water, you pour them all out. V'tama minhag l'samen sheyidu hakol sheyesh bo mikre mavet. This is so that people should know that there was a death there. In other words, they see the water poured out, and they see, oh, it must be he died. V'lo yiheh modia bepeh, and you won't have to say it with your mouth. V'yeh motzi diba, and you're saying, and if you would say it with your mouth, you would be saying a bad thing. We try not to ever say any negative things, and saying somebody died, even if you say it in a nice way, is ultimately a negative thing. So we just do an act that indicates this happened. And then he goes on, V'yesh omrim ki hatam lefi shemalach hamavis metil b'mayim tipat dam hamavet. He puts in it. There's some people that say the reason for pouring out the water is because the angel of death will drop in a drop of blood death into the water, so it's like poisonous. So we better pour it out. Now, so this is a little bit mystical, right? A angel of death is dropping in poison. Actually, in one girsa, it's instead of saying dam hamavet, it should say sam hamavet. The poison of death is dropped into the water. So therefore we pour out the water. Now, let's turn to so this is a little bit, how do we deal with this weird idea? Do we believe in Malach HaMavet? Do we believe in these things? We discussed that maybe part of the symbolism of pouring out the water is like you're participating in the soul, like the soul sort of left the body, and the water being poured out is like you're appreciating what has happened. You're also pouring out the water. You're letting the soul go. It's like the death. It's like sort of you're participating in the death. You're connecting with what has happened now in front of you. Also, on a simple level, there's maybe germs in the water, but that is what's brought in the Beis Yosef. But let's look at the Pitchei Tshuva, which is in the Shulchan Aruch. So if you turn away from the Beis Yosef back to the Shulchan Aruch, Shin Lamed Tet, and we're in the Pitchei Tshuva. Pitchei Tshuva, which number is Hey. And it says like this: Lishpoch kol hamayim, you should pour out the water. And he says, Katav bari, shamati sheyesh mi shehore shelo lishpoch hamayim kishemet yelet. First of all, if there's a child who's under 30 days, you don't have to pour out the water. Aval begliliotenu haminhag lishpoch. But we do pour, even for a child who's less than 30 days, we pour out the water. V'katuv od, yesh listapek tzat, hu hadin kishemet shachen over kochavim bebayit shebechatzer Yisrael. What about if there's in the chatzer, there's a Gentile who died? Does everybody in the chatzer have to pour out the water also? Umistaber lachmir, yeah, we should be machmir. The chamira de sakanta, because it's a sakana of this malach hamavis poison, so we better pour out the water even if it's a Gentile is long in our neighborhood, in our courtyard. V'katav od im afu et apat b'mayim halal. What if you made bread with this poisoned water? Asur apat. The pot should be not eaten. It's forbidden. Shut Beit Yehuda halacha aleph. Okay. B'sham katav the davar shel sakana ein batel b'shishim. He says if it's a sakana, like this poison, then it's not batel b'shishim. So therefore, even if it's shishim, you can't. Even if there would be 60 against it, it would be 1/60th of this water. You still can't eat it. Okay. Ve'im nafal min hamayim halal b'tav shel mevushal lefi ma shekatavti le'el b'shem hataz b'tshuvat Beit Yosef devar shel sakana eino batel b'shishim yesh lachmir v'leser et hakol. If it fell into your food, your cholent, some of this water falls in, you have to throw away it all. V'nira de'im bishlu al Shabbat mayim. Sorry, if you cooked with this water, food for Shabbat, einless sur di'avad, then b'di'avad you could still have the food. The shomer mitzvahs lo yeda davara, that a person who keeps the mitzvahs won't suffer. In other words, you're doing a mitzvah making food for Shabbos, so therefore you won't suffer and you're allowed to eat it. You don't have to throw away your food for Shabbos because you used this for a mitzvah. Similarly, if you made matzah with the water, since it's a mitzvah, the matzah wouldn't have to be thrown away. It would not have to be thrown away. Now, he says the minhag is she'ein shofchim b'Shabbat. And why is that we don't pour out the water if a person dies on Shabbat? Chadeh d'tam harishon shekatav hashach lefichach mayim lefichat hamayim ikar. The main reason for pouring it out is to notify people that there was a death. And we don't. And on Shabbat, v'lezeh b'Shabbat lo yishpachu. That's why we don't pour on Shabbat. Kidei shelo yitatzbu hashomim v'yitbatlu me'oneg Shabbat. If they hear about it, they'll stop being happy and they'll be sad. And on Shabbat, you have to be happy. So we don't talk about it, and we don't even pour out the water. V'afat tamasheni, and even according to the second reason, this is poison. Wait, maybe I should pour it out because I don't want people to drink this poisoned water. He says, no, ki b'merabotenu sheb'Shabbat eino shaf shef sakino b'mayim. The Malach HaMavis doesn't clean his knife in the water. That was another reason we saw. It's not just that he put the malach, that he put poison in, or that he wet his knife in the water, and therefore he doesn't do that on Shabbat, and therefore you don't have to throw away the water on Shabbat. Now I wanted to see actually first this ber heitev. Because the Ber Heitev in Hay also says lishpoch, you have to pour the water out. Why? Mipnei shemalach hamavis metil b'mayim tipat dam hamavet. He puts in this death blood into the water. Ubetashbetz katav shira'ah echad sheshata me'amayim. He saw somebody that drank from the water. Shahayu b'beit b'bayit b'shab tirat hamed. They were in the house at the time the person died. K'shira'ah chacham Ga'arbo shelo lishtot, and a chacham saw him drinking, and he yelled at him, "Stop drinking." L'shtot mehen, v'la'achar shah kala, and within just an hour, sheshata hamayim, after he drank the water, yatsa nishmato, he died. Shel oto sheshata, from that one guy who drank. V'shal chacham mara'it shiga'art bo. What did you see that you told him to stop drinking? Amar ani ra'iti et malach hamaves shef et sakino b'mayim v'ayu ba'oto abayit la'achar patir tamet. So in other words, after the person died, the malach hamaves was still there, and he was wiping off his knife in the water. That's what he saw in his prophetic vision, and that's why he told the guy not to drink. So that's what the Pitkei Tshuva was referring to, that he also dips his knife into the water, and that doesn't do on Shabbat. But we also see here a ma'aseh, actual edut of somebody dying from drinking this water. So it sounds pretty bad. You can't drink from the water. You could die from drinking from the water. It's a sakana. Sakana is worse than iser, and therefore it's not batal even in shishim. And if you cooked food with it, you'd have to throw away the food. And only Dvar Mitzvah is saved, like matzah or Shabbos food. And on Shabbos, we don't want to notify people, and also the Malach HaMavis doesn't involve himself with the water. Okay, this is all very mystical. How do we as rationals deal with this? So we can look at the most rational opinion, and that is from the Aruch HaShulchan again, who is, a good Lithuanian rabbi.